9, 9, 8.
You're watching the Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2.
Hey, what is up, everybody? It is Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, joined by
Bigby McFly, the comic guy,
and we are your hosts for Best Coast Comics. Boy, this is going to be an exciting and interesting show. Right out of the gate, just want to talk about the format change. It's kind of a format change. We're doing things a little differently. Bigby is looking a little different right now. He's got a little bit different setup over there. We're trying to do some upgrades. One of the things we're also doing is we're now going to be streaming weekly. We're streaming weekly, most likely in this time slot for the most part. And we're going to be doing that not only on the Bronze Age Nerd channel, which you might be watching on right now, or Bigby's channel, which you may be watching on right now, as well as on the EXP, which you may be watching over there right now. So if you're not watching on any of those places, if you're not subscribed on any of those places where you might be watching, go ahead and go do that right now. We're going to be on all three of those channels on a weekly basis. So, you know, if you're used to watching Bigby on his channel, if you're used to watching me on my channel, or if you're over on the EXP, you can watch anywhere and go subscribe to the other channels because there's lots of great content over on those other channels that you should be seeing anyway. So it's exciting. Yeah, Best Coast Comics going weekly, going to all the channels, taking care of all that stuff. Right off the top of the show, I'm excited for that. It should be awesome. Phew, it's been a while. It's been a while, Bigby. It's been a while.
It's been a bit. I mean, since our last the recap show for the SummerCon, which I'm still reeling from. That was so awesome.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Since then, there's been some, there was some talk about what we were going to do about changing up the format of this show. The show that used to be in this time slot, which was Devil's Advocates. And we finally figured that out. We said, hey, this Best Coast Comic thing is already going on. It's working really well. Let's go ahead and roll that forward. I went on vacation for a week, so there was another week off there where things were, going strange. And that was much needed and very refreshing. So yeah, it's just been a couple weeks, and some crazy things have happened during those couple weeks. Luckily, it's not like the Community meme where Donald Glover comes back with the pizzas and the apartment's on fire and everything. It's not quite like that. It hasn't been just a drama-filled crazy escapade, but there has been some stuff going on we're going to talk about. Also in the show here fairly soon, we're going to have a guest too to talk about the Bloodshot Kickstarter that's going on right now for the anthology series, Black, White, and Bloodshot. We're going to have one of the writers for that anthology series joining us, which we're very excited about. Yeah. So that should be a really great show. We're going to cover the PSA entering the comic book. That's the title of the show. We're going to cover that, of course, as well as some other news bits. So it should be a really exciting show. I'm just kind of making sure, okay, our guest has not popped in backstage yet, so we will cover some other stories first. But first, we should say hello to everybody in the chat, don't you think, Bigby?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
See some familiar faces in there already.
Yeah, we got some familiar cast of characters here. GT Key came in with 4 different comments. So I'm guessing it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm guessing one on each channel. Maybe that'd be my assumption.
But they were all different.
Yeah, they're all a little different. Yep. Well, there are 3 of the same and one's different. Okay, there we go. And then we got Bigby McFly in the chat. And we have John. What's up, John? It's funny when people say, I think I'll watch the stream here. I can't tell which one you're watching on, but like I said, make sure you're subscribed to all channels that we're on here, because you're going to see great content on all those. I got Derek in the chat as well. What's up, Derek? Lyle, how's it going? Lorena, we have What's on the Comic Rack.
Mr. Akins.
Yep, in the house. And Shadow Rat's in here. What's up, Shadow Rat? How's it going? Cool. I gotta fix one thing on my camera real fast. I'll go away for like half a second.
Oh my god, where'd you go?
It's weird. It does that thing where it wants to creep up, and I have no idea why. I just rearranged a bunch of stuff today. I suspect that somehow is related. So I want to avoid going into the big story, just because if our guest joins us, I know he's in a different time zone, and I want to be respectful of that. He's in a much later time zone. He is an international guest. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to avoid the big topic, because I know we'll just have to cut away and come back probably. So let me pull up what we had next on our agenda here.
We should discuss the elephant in the room. I mean, I made you Chewbacca.
That's true. Yeah, you did make me Chewbacca in our show teaser, which is an honor, really. I mean,
Chewie's pretty awesome.
He's pretty awesome for sure.
I mean, you are a little bigger than I am and a little hairier, so I figured
it all works, right? So let's see here. I'm trying to think of what would be sufficiently quick to talk about. This might be a good one. Unfortunately, I don't have. I'm going to have to do it this way. Here, I'm going to share a little image for everybody real fast. Give me 1 second. And this is about Larry Hama made an update. I think it's just kind of an interesting thing to talk about and discuss real fast, because we've talked about some things about creators and this in the past. So this was a while ago. Like I said, we haven't been on the air in a couple of weeks, so some of these things we're getting our chance to talk about it. Larry Hama said, the quote here, "I have macular degeneration. I will probably be incapable of drawing within the next few years, so if you want to sketch, better act soon. Although my arthritis may make everything moot before then. I have no ligaments left in my basal thumb joints. It's just bone scraping against bone there. Drawing is actually quite painful, but not as painful as signing my signature."
Talk about
wow.
suffering for your art, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
so
sad.
What are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, it's sad to hear. I mean, the man's a legend, so
yeah,
especially to us Joe fans, so or Cobra fans, as the case may be with your shirt there.
Yeah,
Cobra represent.
It's funny. I'm more of a Joe fan, but I the Cobra logo is just so much more.
Cobra's logo is much cooler. I gotta say,
especially the Air Force one with the bat wings. It's just it's a sad thing on a couple levels. One of them is, a lot of our icons from when we grew up reading comic books are running into health issues, or unfortunately passing away in some cases. So that's sad. Right. It's sad that he's going through pain. I could tell when I was hanging out with him at SummerCon year before last. Definitely a little, harder to get around for him. Arthritis is not surprising to hear that he's got that going on. I could just tell from how he was kind of walking and holding himself. And on the other level, there's this other, better get your sketches and commissions done soon. I don't know. Maybe it's just me that thought about this. I know a lot of people were talking about this. And then for me, it was, well, I don't even know if I'd want to, man. Like knowing that it's going to cause them pain and they're just going to be hurting trying to do it.
Right.
Drawing is actually quite painful, he says. And that's kind of a sad, element. It's like at some point, and I know he's saying this basically, you got to kind of hang up the spurs at some point.
But at the same time, if he's putting it out there saying, get these in, it's probably a way that he's supporting himself.
Yeah.
And so he's not ready to hang up those spurs quite yet. So
that was the other thought I had for sure. It's definitely one of those things. Okay. I'm just communicating with our guest real fast. So we will have a guest joining us in a minute here. He's going to try to hop in, and I'm going to give him a minute back there to make sure, he's got his camera set up. It looks like it is and everything, but I'll give him a minute and let him know when we're bringing him in as we wrap up talking here about Larry Hama. So yeah, it's just, I don't think there's any real big upshot to this other than I like he's saying, if you do want to get something done by him, get it in. The one thing actually that I will say is kind of interesting about that too, is he said it's not as painful as signing his signature. That's even more painful apparently, which, ouch. I mean, I had him sign some books not that long ago. And it's funny. I know, like, for example, there's another YouTuber, Otaku Tour Guide, who had him do, he didn't have him do, I think he just did it. He just kind of started doing Arashikage remarks on some of his books. And it's just one of those things where I feel bad. Like, he's sitting there signing and trying to do that and all that's going on. But what people do for their craft, I guess is the important part of this. It's like a pro athlete in a lot of ways, is they kind of break down physically, literally from their work. So it's just kind of sad.
Right. Well, I hope that, he's able to get along and do the best that he can and maybe find some way of some pain management or whatever for that he's able to continue to make money off of his craft. And we can enjoy his work for a little while longer. Absolutely. I mean, that kind of goes back to like when we were at SummerCon, getting able to meet Jim Shooter and a lot of those other guys, Starlin and all those other guys. And were you were there when some of the other legends that have since passed were up at SummerCon, and they passed since then. So I mean, we had why can't I think of his name? Neil Adams was up there not too long ago. I'm unfortunately I missed him, but yeah, he's somebody we lost recently. I mean, so many, unfortunately. Right. So, like we say, get out there and meet your legends while you can. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, what's up, Damien and Figure Drawing? Nice to see both of you in the show. Yeah. So we do have our guest backstage. So I'm gonna let him give me a thumbs up if he's good to go back there. Okay, cool. So real first, before I even get to that stage, why don't you answer this question while I bring up his Kickstarter before we start talking to him? Derek wants to know, while we wait, Bigby, can you tell us about that fish behind you? That is a metal art piece of the Cascade Mountain Range with a night sky superimposed over a salmon. And this place where I have my office, my wife and I, we were remodeling it for a Airbnb. So it's got a lot of Pacific Northwest themed stuff. I've got a big print of Mount St. Helens exploding here on the wall next to me. So right on. Love that Northwest. Hey, we're Best Coast Comics. We're over here on the West Coast. But our guest who's going to be joining us here right now is not from the West Coast. Not at all. He's from like I say, he's an international guest. So I'm going to end the suspense and bring him on. Everyone say hello to Tom Wortley. Hey, how's it going?
Hey guys.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's I'm from a West Coast, just not the U.S. West Coast. I'm in the Argentinian West Coast.
We're very glad to have you, no matter what West Coast you're on. And I know it's a little later over there, so thank you for joining us over here on our time zone for the show tonight. Real fast, what I'm going to do is before we get a chance to talk to you for a few minutes and kind of learn a little bit more about you, I'm just going to share. This is linked in the description below on my YouTube. I'll update it after the show on the other channels because I put the link in kind of late for this, but it is in the description below, and I'll paste that in the chat in a second. But this is the Kickstarter we're going to be talking about today. It's up right now. It's got 24 days left on the campaign. It is the Bloodshot Anthology series, Black, White, and Bloodshot. And Tom is one of the writers on this series. He wrote one of the stories for this series, so that's why why we have him on the show tonight. But I definitely want you to get a chance to check out the campaign. Go support it if you want to back it right now. As we're talking to Tom, I think you might have a chance to hear a little bit more about the project. Probably not spoilers for his actual story, of course. But I'll paste that link into chat right now. And then
beautiful artwork.
Yeah, there's some great artwork in here. I was scrolling through it earlier. I mean, just like that shot right there is just gorgeous. That's for awesome. Example. Let me paste that link in the chat for everybody so you can go follow along. And then I'm just going to remove this so we can make everybody big again. And we'll go back to it, of course. So Tom, first of all, welcome to the show again. And I just want to get a chance to say that, you're somebody who's been hanging out at my Discord for a while, viewer of the channel. So that's really cool for me to have somebody who works professionally in comic books kind of following along and has been for a while. So it's really awesome. It's awesome to have you on the channel. So that's really cool. I know this isn't your first work in comics, and you've been doing a lot of various things. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career and what you've worked on?
Sure. Well, I have a career in comics where I live. It's not easy to make it to the U.S. as a writer, especially if English is not your first language, which is my case. So I grew up speaking Spanish, and I was lucky enough to learn English at a very early age because of my family. So, but usually editors in the U.S. don't even want to read like a writing test from you because you're not a native English speaker. So I was lucky enough to have these opportunities, and I also was lucky enough to be working as a screenwriter and working for Disney for a bunch of years as a screenwriter for Latin American projects, and kind of like that kind of work also gets you a little bit ahead when as far as resume goes. So that's why I have been getting a little bit more projects for the U.S. market lately.
Right on. Yeah, I know. A while back you were on Machine Girl, right? You did a story for that.
Yeah.
That came out here in the United States. So how many U.S. comics have you worked on at this point?
Not a lot. I did the Machine Girl issue, and I had a story in the Heavy Metal magazine when it was run by Grant Morrison. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And the story, it's a little bit easier for artists to get jobs in the U.S. and for us writers it's a little bit more difficult. But I'm starting to get a little more opportunities, and I'm trying to grow in the U.S. market a little bit more. And with this project, I hope some of my earlier projects that were done in Spanish can be translated and possibly published there.
Yeah, I hope so too. That'd be amazing. So I Sleepy Readers in the chat saying he's excited for the comeback of Valiant. I know a lot of us are. Coming back to this project a little bit, I know you don't want to spoil the story or talk too much about the actual story you're going to have in the comic, But can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the Bloodshot comeback?
Yeah, actually, the one of my editors here in Latin America, here in Argentina, is one of the editors responsible for Valiant comic books now in Alien Books, and now that there's a partnership with Alien Books, and he contacted me because he knows I'm a very avid comic book reader and a comic book fan. That's why I follow your channel too, and well, that's what all of this is. So, and he asked me if I was willing to like contribute a story for this and maybe pitch something else for the Valiant. For the whole Valiant comeback that's happening right now, and I was of course thrilled because these are comics I I used to read in the 90s, and then I came back for the reboot in 2012, and this is really interesting to me to be part of like this revitalization of a brand that it was with me for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting. I brought it off because I wanted to make sure we had a chance to kind of see you a little bit bigger, but I'll put it back up for now. This is the campaign. The good news is, it's fully funded. It fully funded in an hour. So this is one of those ones where you're backing it without any risk, involved. Essentially, you're backing it because you want to support it and check it out. Which issue is your story appearing in? Do you know?
Yeah, mine's going to be on the third issue.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure at first because we had to deliver the stories like way ahead of time. So I wasn't sure which one mine was going to be, and I'm really happy that it's the third issue because the cover A for that issue is going to be done by Renato Guedes, which is a very very cool Brazilian artist who worked in Wolverine and did a bunch of projects. He also worked in Bloodshot before, and he's actually a friend. So
Right on.
I didn't even know he was involved in the project until I saw the Kickstarter. So that was a surprise for me, and it was a beautiful surprise.
And the artist on your project looks like we have it right here. I'm not familiar with that artist. Were you familiar with? Is it Gabriel Kikot?
I didn't know him. He's also a Latin American artist, and that was great because we can chat in both in Spanish and in English. So we had like a really great collaboration, and I didn't know him previously, and I shared a couple of panels from the story, and he's an amazing artist. These sort of like short story anthology projects actually give me the chance to work with a lot of artists I didn't know previously, and that's great because usually after this, I I tend to go back to those artists and try to like find an idea to work on a book or something like that, because especially if it works so seamlessly as it did with him.
Yeah, and Jay was just saying in the chat, this is a stacked talent on this. That is absolutely true. There's a lot of, I mean, there's some creators on here that I'm not as familiar with, and I'm excited to get to know a little bit better. But I think for some of us that, kind of look at the credits, so to speak, and they're like, oh, Tim Seeley, Mirka Andolfo, Mark Guggenheim, there's just a lot of talented people working on this book. Covers by Miko Suon. There's a lot of really great talent associated with this. So, and I think it shows in the artwork here. You can see that they're definitely going to deliver on that front, which I know a lot of people are going to be happy about. So it looks really exciting. and it is an anthology series too. So I know you don't want to spoil anything about the story. Can you give us any kind of teaser or anything like that, or anything to kind of get us excited about it? Maybe the thing might
Sure. I mean, to me, Bloodshot. I had a limited amount of pages, and I didn't really want to like go overly complicated. I tried to be um, as I said, I come from a screenwriter background, so I try to be very cinematic with my comics, and I'm very action driven, not particularly like an action movie driven, but by driven by actions. So I try to be more of that and less of like voiceover or inner dialogue. So that's really hard to do when you have a very small amount of pages to work with. So I try to do like I try to go back to the classic, you know, classic stories about of the 90s. I grew up with Bloodshot, so it's a little bit of violence, a little bit of a twist and a surprise, and so it's a very familiar setting to work out the twist at the end and not having to overly explain what was going on. And I think uh, I think people are going to enjoy going back to a, I guess, simpler story. And I try to work out the complexity on something else like panel layouts of the page, for example.
Cool.
I try to work with I mean a couple of references from Alan Moore in Watchmen, for example.
Nice.
Right on.
It's more of a subtle storytelling than just like saying what the character is thinking out loud. It's something else.
Yeah, that makes sense. We did have a question from chat. Do you have any hope to be working on any other Valiant characters or properties soon, by chance?
I hope so. Yeah. There's still nothing solid. I had pitched a couple of things. There are some characters I'd love to work with. I tend to gravitate to more obscure characters and like B-listers more than A-listers. That's the thing I like to read more, and that's the thing I like to write more. So I hope I can get something in that realm to work in the near future for Valiant, but I can't say anymore right now.
Sure. No, that's cool. Bigby, did you have any questions for our guest that you wanted to ask before we let him go?
I think he did a really good job of like weaving in a lot of the questions I had, like if it was easier to work with a Spanish-speaking artist versus an English-speaking artist, and do you submit your script a different way if you're working with
if I know that the artist that's the change in how I write, right? Because if I'm working with an artist that I know is his first language is Spanish, I write the whole script in Spanish and just write the dialogue in English, and not I write the whole script in English. I do full scripts, which I know it was a debate not long ago in the community if which one was the best way to go. I tend to go full script, but then I really like to give the artist as much freedom to question that script as possible. So I don't like the old Marvel way of just like writing the dialogue and letting the artists do the rest. I do the full script, but I give the. Sorry, I was just reading. Yeah, I would write a Chainsaw Vigilante miniseries like yesterday.
Nice.
But yeah, I love to I love to give the artists the possibility of chatting with me, like, and discussing with me every panel I write. To me, there are some writers that like submit the script and that's done, and they move on to the next project. I stay on until the pages are submitted to publishing. So something has to be changed or adjusted, or the artist has a suggestion. I prefer to keep that open dialogue. So the work turns actually a collaboration, and not just like separate parts of like of machinery. I prefer to it to be like more of an artistic collaboration, and because I also write like prose, and right, I write fiction books, right, and that is like a very lonely job. And if I'm going to collaborate, I try to do so as much as possible.
Awesome.
Very cool. That was really interesting, because I was curious if you tailored the script depending on what language the artist spoke. So
Yeah.
Cool.
I try to do so, especially because if maybe if the artist is a Spanish speaker and that's his first language, he can like maybe get confused for something. So if it helps to clarify some things, I'll do that.
very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I know it's much later for you over there, and I really appreciate you hopping on to join us. I really just wanted to, it's cool that we've had, so many interactions, and I've get to see like the comic books you post that you pick up and stuff like that for years now. And just, I made sure to order a copy of Machine Girl when I knew you were working on that. And just, I love following along, and it's fantastic to see you getting into more comics, especially something like prestigious as the a Bloodshot comic. That's definitely a comic most of us are familiar with. It's just a really cool sign for the trajectory of your career, and I can't wait to see you do even more. I do want to take one other opportunity to show the Kickstarter real fast for everybody. It is open now. There is a link in the description. You got some time left to go check it out. I highly recommend you go check it out and see if you want to back it, because it'll help encourage more projects from the relaunch of Valiant. We can see more stuff come, and hey, who knows? Maybe we can have you back when you're working on your next property from Valiant, because this is so successful. So that's what I'm hoping for anyway. That'd be great.
Yeah, I hope to be back for whatever next Valiant project is, and if, as Preston said, if I can get to work on Ambush Bug, I'll be happy to do so.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, is there anything else you wanted to let us know about, or anything else you have coming out you want to plug? Or
I'll sure share it with you when it is. I'm working on another anthology that's for a smaller company that's located in Canada, and that is like a full book, like a science fiction anthology book, and the mission statement of that publisher is to bring Latin American talent into the English speaking market. So every artist and every writer on that book is going to be from a different country in Latin America. So
Great.
I have
that's
I have
cool.
a short story there as well. And the idea of the publisher is that the short story, if there is interested in it, it can eventually evolve into a full-blown book of its own. So I did a nice story with a Mexican artist, and it's like I took the idea of The Little Prince by the Little Prince book by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and I turned it into a horror story. So I'm working. The story is called Little Prince of Darkness, and it's about the son of the devil coming to Earth. So
Nice.
that's
Sounds
going
like
to
it.
be another Kickstarter that's going to launch relatively soon this year. So I'll keep you posted about that one.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I agree. Awesome title. That sounds very cool. That's an exciting project. Cool. All right. Well, we do appreciate you coming on and joining us and talking a little bit about the project. It's something that I was definitely interested in as soon as you mentioned you were working on it. Even before that, when you teased what you were going to be working on something cool, it was exciting to see it kind of all unfold. So awesome to have you on tonight. Thanks for joining us. And folks out there, go back the Bloodshot anthology series, Black, White, and Bloodshot, over on Kickstarter right now. Tom, have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Oh, that was cool.
Hey, that was cool. I would love to have him back on for any projects he's working on.
Yeah, he's a really awesome guy. Like, just watching the stuff he posts up and like checking out his collection and just the stuff he's into, and I've been loving following that for a while. So it's really cool to see him working on stuff that I know he's been working on all kinds of things. Like, he shared a show that's available in Latin America that's on Disney Plus that he worked on and stuff like that. It's like, that's really neat. So
That's cool.
yeah.
So I think, are we due for a break?
We are, yeah. So real fast, I do want to explain for people who may not be familiar with this format, since we are streaming on the EXP, as well as a couple other channels that you're more than welcome to go subscribe to as well. One of the things that we will be doing periodically here on the show is we'll be showing some of the commercials that run over on the EXPs from some of the sponsors, for some of the shows that are available over on the EXP, for comic books, things like that. So we're going to run that real fast. It'll run for, about a minute or two here coming up, and then we'll be right back to talk about another topic and comic book news. So hang on and check out some of the sponsors. We'll be right back after these messages.
Order Battle Quest comics at your local comic shop today.
According to a statistic that I just made up, people spend 4 hours a day changing the television channel. People who watch The Experience don't do that. Save yourself a ton of time by tuning into The Experience and enjoying our new original programming 7 days a week. And then tell your friends. Think about the money they could save on batteries in the remote alone, just by tuning into The Experience. Find out more by scanning the QR code below.
Live from New York. What? Oh, sorry. Live from Cleveland? It's Friday night? It's Friday Night Live! With Nancy McCann. And Ricky. And sometimes Carlos. And featuring boxes and boxes of rare comics. Unique collectibles. Lots of smiles and conversations with new friends. Friday Night Live with Comics Unlimited. Friday night from 9 to 11 on The Experience.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. For those that are just joining us or maybe watch that and we're wondering what's going on, this is kind of the new normal for what we're going to have going forward for Best Coast Comics. We are streaming to Bigby's channel, my channel, as well as the EXP. And those were some advertisements that run over on the EXP. This show is now taking over the time slot that Devil's Advocates used to occupy. And now we can devote all our efforts to making this show better, doing it every week, for example, bringing in all kinds of fun stuff. So in interest of doing that, make sure you go subscribe over to the EXP, follow along over there so you can check out some of those wonderful programs that you just saw the advertisements for. And got a couple of comments here. I wanted to make sure we get to this one first. Jay wants to thank everyone for being here tonight. Hope you're all enjoying the show so far. I echo that sentiment. And we also want to say hello to Geek Out with Roscoe. What's up?
Roscoe.
I think you may have gotten a package recently, Roscoe. I'm curious to see if you've opened that one yet. If not, that's totally fine. Just curious. Speaking of which, we do a weekly giveaway in the chat here. I do have a couple prize packages ready to go. So I'm going to reveal the hashtag that you're going to want to type into chat if you want to enter for a chance to win some free stuff. I'm going to show you some books here in a second. You'll get a chance to win those. But I also throw in extra stuff. Just ask Roscoe. There's going to be extra stuff in your boxes. It's really just a chance for us to get you some free stuff. And so, thank you for supporting us here on the show. The hashtag.
Some doodlings, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Well, some. I mean, there might be some doodlings. For this show, because we just had Tom Wortley on, who is one of the writers on the new Bloodshot anthology series, let's do hashtag Bloodshot. That's all lowercase Bloodshot, one word. And that will be our hashtag. I've already started collecting entries on that. So if you want to type in hashtag Bloodshot, you get a chance to win some free comic books. Hey, right on. That's awesome to hear. I'm glad it arrived presumably safely, Roscoe. Totally. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, if as long as I guess you could say like, oh, it was torn in half. So I got two packages, price packages that were floating around from last time. I did finally get a hold of Shattered Glass Reviews, which was our winner that I was waiting to get his address from. So I got that package going out to him. We have a couple awesome Hulk books here, and I'll kind of throw in some Marvel cards and Marvel related stuff, but I'm not going to say any spoilers or any rumors and that kind of stuff, but let's just say there might be some Hulk stuff going on. So that's all I'll say.
Some rumblings.
Yep. And the other prize package is more of kind of DC, but also a little indie. We got a Nightwing Huntress trade, and we have a gorgeous Batman Grendel trade.
I love that Batman Grendel. Matt Wagner is so underrated.
Oh, he's just fantastic. So you get a chance to win, one of those two prize packages, plus I'll throw in extra stuff. So if you're around at the end of the show, you can tell us what you want. If you're not, you get whatever we choose. But we like to offer some variety. Yeah. And feel free to drop a line in the chat if you're like, oh, I'd really want the Hulk ones or whatever. And then, I'll probably remember that when it comes time to draw your name later. So I think we should get to our big topic this week. What do you think, Bigby?
Yeah, I mean, why wait? Let's dive in.
Why wait? I agree.
Your sword.
Yeah. So the big news going on right now. There's a couple other topics that if we have time, we'll kind of come back around and play catch up on. But the big news of the week, everybody's talking about it. PSA has announced that they are doing comic book grading services. There's lots of news sources that have reported this. There's lots of YouTubers that have talked about it already. This particular link that I'm highlighting is from icv2.com, which is a pretty good website if you want to go get some industry news, more of an insider website. So this is actually something that has been in the works for a while. I've heard rumblings of this for a while. And I know there were some people that were kind of in, I don't know, I guess beta or discussion for it for a while, that were excited to finally be able to talk about it. before I say anything about it, I'm curious, Bigby, what's your take on this? What's your gut reaction?
Well, the way they say that a rising tide floats all boats. So hopefully, we see some good competition to spur on the other big two that are out there, and really just make things better. I know they've got a amazing reputation in the card industry, so it'll be really interesting to see how things go for them. I'm really kind of shocked that they stuck with that card look that they had for so long. But I guess it's kind of like their trademark, I guess. So
I'll kind of do my best to zoom in on the label. I can only make it so large there, but there's kind of a closer look at the label, which I know is a lot of people's and I don't mean this in any kind of like condescending way, but it's a little funny to me, like funny isn't just kind of odd. That's a lot of people's primary like thing that they zoned in on. I get it. I completely get it. It's just like I said, to me, it's just a little funny. It does look like, it looks like a card. Well, I mean, yeah,
it might be a trading card. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There are a couple cards that had pretty close to that exact art on it. I'll just tell you, for me, this is giant congratulations banner shooting off fireworks into the air. I've been saying for years that I wanted a serious lineage, pedigreed, respected name to enter the grading market as a competitor for CGC and CBCS, as well as the other grading companies, of course. I'm gonna fix my. So if you ever see me see, I've got this weird little line going on the bottom of my screen. If you ever see me just do that real fast, it's because I'm fixing that. I don't know why. As soon as I deactivate my camera and reactivate it, it just goes away and then it comes back.
Because you're teleporting between timelines.
Yes, that actually, it's multiverse of madness over here. Competition is good. That's why I'm so excited about this. Figured I just said I'm super rooting for them, and that's where I'm at too. Kamikaze in chat. Hey, what's up, Kamikaze? At first, CGC card case and label looked like the comic one. They have since changed it. Maybe PSA will do the same. I know that a lot of the initial feedback was about the label, and it's funny because as somebody who doesn't really like CBCS's newest label, their one before that, I heard so many collectors say that's the reason why they wouldn't submit to CBCS. Oh, their label is ugly. I don't like their cases, which, by the way, I think their cases are amazing. But their label is ugly. And I get part of that because like it didn't really highlight the grade, and that was a very intentional thing by CBCS. The point I'm trying to make here is that labels matter to collectors.
Right.
It's funny, when it comes to the card market, which I will not pretend to be an expert on. I know there's strong opinions on the primary card grading companies out there. And as I understand it, depending on the era of the card, if it's a super modern numbered refractor insert kind of a thing, or if it's a vintage card, from like, by vintage, I mean like from before the 50s or something like that. Again, I'm not a card collector. I know that there's certain companies that have certain strengths in certain categories. And then there's people that say, oh no, this card company is good and this card company is bad. With comic books, it's really been, I hate to say it, but it's either, do you like CGC or not? Has kind of been the question.
Right.
And
it's been voting with your wallet too.
Yes.
And people not wanting to take a hit on the resale value of their books.
Yeah.
Whether they like the design or look of another company and love the cut of their jib, do you want to take that monetary hit?
Yeah, and that's been a lot of it. And really what it comes down to, it's funny that monetary hit, I think, comes down to for lack of a better term, consumer confidence. And I don't necessarily mean confidence in the integrity of the grading company, but confidence in the brand.
Right.
Whether that's because of integrity of grading practices or accuracy of grading practices or just the way that the slab looks, for example. The consumer confidence has been in CGC. And that has meant that the market respects CGC encapsulated books at a higher premium, generally speaking. CBCS has had every opportunity in the world. Remember, CBCS is Beckett for all intents and purposes. So
right.
when you're talking about
another
the world,
huge card grading company.
Exactly. So,
and that's where they got their signature authentication was because of the Beckett. So
yeah. And that's what really, really kind of, solidifies to me where this is kind of a no-brainer from a conceptual perspective, at least, to have PSA in this sector now. I'm excited. Like I echo that sentiment that I'm super rooting for them. That's exactly how I feel.
Right.
I will most likely be supporting them unless I see some kind of red flag that says I shouldn't do this, and that hasn't been revealed to me yet. But I will kind of be watching closely. I'm certainly going to try to submit some books as long as nothing like that comes out.
I think it's going to be a big deciding factor is going to be that first big auction that has some big books graded by them and where they shake out as far as consumer confidence in their grading ability. So we'll see how that goes.
A couple comments about cases here in chat too that I want to make sure. Figure says yes, I like the CBCS cases too, and Kamikaze says CBCS cases is by far the best in the business. Also, hella hard to crack open. The new one, that's the linchpin for me, is case quality. Yeah, and I've said before, like, the label is whatever. Like, I don't care about it that much. I would take the CBCS slab, the actual physical slab itself. If I could get all my comics graded in that, I would. It's by far the best one that I've actually physically held. There's a couple out there I haven't had a chance to hold. Like I don't think I've held a recent PGX case. I can't imagine they've stepped up their quality because nobody's saying that, but maybe they have. And I know Halo is another company that's out there. I haven't physically seen a Halo graded comic book, so I can't speak to their cases. But yeah, the CBCS case just feels like a tank compared to the creaky, cracky, flimsy feeling CGC ones that I've encountered. They don't scratch as easily either, which is nice. But Adam has a really interesting point. If PSA made a UV protected case, it would be great. That's a really good point. I know that the plastic is much more expensive.
Yeah,
for sure.
Somebody was saying, what were they saying? A big opportunity for somebody to really showcase something like that would be to take a glow in the dark cover, like that Ghost Rider glow in the dark cover.
Yeah,
put it out in the sun and then show if it glows, because you're getting that. Are you getting that UV protection? Are you getting that? Are those rays getting through? So.
Yeah, exactly. I think that absolutely would be a huge point. But I for example, the Gator Guard cases and the a couple of the other companies that do offer UV protected cases, when they're more like cases for the slab, which is really weird, but it's a thing. Or in Gator Guard's case, it's case, get it? It's usually for a raw comic book, right? That you put in there. They offer UV protection with like up to 99%, like between 96 and 99%, depending on the company. Even technically, I think CGC, just by the properties of the plastic, offers like a very tiny UV protection, but it's not necessarily enough to block sun damage or anything like that. Certainly not enough that they would ever talk about it, but I think technically it offers a little bit of that UV protection.
But I've worked in the supply industry for a while back in the day, and a lot of the companies that I work for would say that it does provide UV protection, but it's not if you want UV protection, you've got to go to the next step up in the line.
Yeah. Because that material is just more expensive is what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
And so, maybe it would be cool if they could do that. But I think people say that, and they also say, well, it'd be neat if they offered $20 grading for a modern, instead of $60 like it would take if they had UV protection on the case, which I don't know that that's the actual cost breakdown. I do know that the clear acrylic, for lack of a better word, that's not really what it is, material that does offer high UV protection is pretty pricey.
I think somebody's missing the boat with maybe making something like the plastic covers or the glass covers that we put on phones, making a UV piece that would just kind of almost static cling to a slab and offer UV protection.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
but if you watch Swag stream last night, they have held the PSA in hand. They said it's super heavy compared to the rest. That's interesting. No, I've been wrapping up vacation, and unfortunately this weekend dealing with sick family members in the household, and I haven't had a chance to watch their stream, but I actually am really curious to watch it.
To throw up on the screen the PSA thing again. Chris, Comic Tropes.
Oh, yeah.
And what's PSA?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to here. I got Chris from Comic Tropes in the chat, which is always great to have him here. I am terrible at doing this every time he pops in, but he is amazing at doing it. So I'm going to make sure to take a minute to say, if you aren't following Comic Tropes, because I think this is the problem, is I assume most of you are. Right. But if you're not following Comic Tropes, please go follow not only his Comic Tropes channel, which, like a great Mike Zeck video just came out.
I was going to say that Mike Zeck video was awesome. I mean, I've always loved Zeck's artwork, and it was very Zegsy.
Nice. Go follow his channel for that reason. Also, go follow Pros and Cons, which is his channel where he does more like live streaming type content. He does a show on Mondays that I highly recommend you check out, where he covers like news and topics. He also has interviews, and he is just an awesome dude with a great perspective on things that I really like following. And he does amazing art too, so you can go check him out doing that stuff too.
Talented individual.
But to answer his question, what's PSA? PSA is a grading company. So this is very similar to like CGC, CBCS. PSA primarily has graded sports and non-sports collectible cards. Mm-hmm. So baseball cards, they grade Marvel cards. I actually have the Stan Lee Marvel Universe Series 1 card or whatever, the one where it's like him as like Combo Man Marvel character, basically. I have one of the PSA slab of that card, for example. So you can get the comic cards, as well as, they're really big in like baseball, football, like the main sports cards, right?
My friend Brandon from Mon Comics sent me a PSA 10 Wolverine from the Marvel Series 1. I was like, I started crying when I opened the package. I was like, oh my God. If you guys don't know, it's a very valuable card.
Yeah. No, I actually saw that. That was a great moment. They said it was medical grade plastic. Not sure what that medical grade plastic. I do wonder what that means technically in this regard.
Does it mean like the like prosthetics, or does it mean like?
I almost wonder if that maybe they were trying to say hermetically sealed or something, but I don't know. That's interesting. I once used a PGX case that had a crap comic I won from some random giveaway somewhere to protect a comic I sold to an international eBay buyer. It worked. I didn't want eBay to touch the comic.
Okay. All right.
I didn't know where we were going with that story, but it's definitely interesting by the time we got there.
Oh, because you have to send it to eBay to be shipped to the international buyer. I get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
What if a grading company covered it in lead so no sunlight gets in, and also includes a free bag of candy as a bonus? Well, you had me at candy.
Right. There you go. Who needs to see the book? Covered in lead. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, why is there not like a Superman X-ray vision LED gimmick for a comic book already? That would be the greatest gimmick cover of all time.
There you go.
Like you pull off the LED casing and like you get to see through the comic or something. I don't know. I actually don't know where I'm going with that, but it seems like a great idea.
You get some X-ray specs that can look through. I don't know.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah, I mean, bringing in the X-ray specs is actually a really great idea because it just harkens back to the fantastic old ads that I love from comic books. That PGX case was so easy to open. Again, I just needed the case to protect a comic. Yeah, that is kind of interesting. Like the CGC cases, I've never personally cracked one, but I've seen it done many times. I just never had a reason to crack it myself. You can crack it in 4 seconds.
I saw Dave do the West Coast Avengers do the counter. Have you seen the counter crack before?
No, I've only seen like the screwdriver twist thing.
The old cases you can do a counter crack where you just go whack and it'll crack the case, but you're really risking damaging the book.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think even in almost all cases there's a little bit of risk, but
yeah.
Yes, I agree. Comic Strope is definitely legit.
Definitely.
Ooh, Metal Min lead case. There you go. Preston's a big Metal Min fan, so that makes sense. That's a good opportunity. No, so I just to kind of circle back to like my profound excitement for this is I have had I guess the best way to put it, I'm not trying to be dramatic, it's just the best way I can think of it off the top of my head, is kind of like almost like a frenemy relationship with CGC. Mm-hmm. Where I have CGC graded comic books, and I've explained a million times the reason why I do it. It's usually for value, for insurance purposes, for inheritance purposes. Collectibles I've had most of my life that I know I want to pass down, that trust me, I've read them a million times and I was okay with them being encapsulated and buying a facsimile or reading digitally or whatever after that. I know people have the whole range of gamut of feelings about slabbing comic books and putting them in plastic and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's fair to say that grading is not going anywhere. If anything, it's only going to be picking up steam. And considering that, I really do think that it's good to have a new strong potential contender in that market space, because CBCS, was the other big name in that space. They really weren't doing much to capitalize on their opportunity to become the Pepsi to CGC's Coke, right? Like it just wasn't happening.
There were so many openings where they could have just really gone for the throat and really made a difference, and they didn't do it.
If anything, they fumbled the ball even more in most cases. Whereas now this might make them step up more now. For example, this could cause them to be like, oh no, we have another big, previously card grading company getting into this space. If we don't do something, they're going to take our market share. Yeah,
we're going to become number 3 instead of being, taking the table scraps from CGC. So
yeah. Now it does make me wonder. I don't know who's the other big card. Is it SGC? Is that the other big card grading company? I don't know.
There are a lot. There are some that don't really hold any. I know I've seen some people have boxes of card slabs and they'll bring them into a store. And people are like, you would have been better off not even to have these slabs because the company you chose was garbage.
I think it's either SGA or SGC. Again, I'm not a card grading expert. I think SGC is one of the other fairly big ones. Mm-hmm. And it makes me. I actually. Ooh, now I'm going to be venturing into just straight up, hearsay territory. I know there's one of these companies has been talking about, or maybe even already does do some comic grading, but on a very small level. And it made me wonder if it was SGC, but I don't see it on their website. But I know somebody pointed it out in a chat a while ago, and I was like, whoa, they really do. But again, it was a card grading company that I wasn't extremely familiar with. Gotcha. The point is, there is a couple other ones out there that could still get into this space. And it does make me wonder if PSA has some success here, if we'll see one of these other card grading companies also in the space.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I could message Tony and see what he thinks. EGS is, I don't know. I've just no longer considered them an option for comic book grading. Personally, that's just my personal opinion at this point.
A wild guess.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'll tell you. Here's my not wild guess, and this is based on nothing. I said a long time ago when the Taylor Swift rumor started that Taylor Swift was going to be Dazzler, right? Like that was the wild rumor that was going around back when she first attended a football game with Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds and everybody. I said everybody's got it wrong. It's going to be Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what's going to happen. And the more time goes by, I feel like the more there's a possibility that might actually be true. So I'm calling my shot there. That's not really a wild guess though, because I said that a long time ago, and I think it's kind of more logical.
Or the crazy. I heard Wolverine variants. I heard Henry Cavill as a Wolverine variant. And,
I heard that one too.
Daniel Radcliffe as a Wolverine variant.
And see, like for Daniel Radcliffe, he's been a rumored Wolverine recast for a very long time. So I wonder if that's just where that rumor comes from, or if it's would they actually seek out people that have been rumored? Would they get Danny DeVito, who's been like the joke for being Wolverine for a really long time? Would they get him to come in and play a variant?
Right. Let's see. Crazy cameos. I'm trying to think.
Taylor Swift's Juggernauts is a very wild guess. I don't necessarily know who would play them, but so I guess it depends. Is it just the character, or is it also the actor, or both? For me, like I will just say that I want Maverick. I want Maverick in the movie because
Maverick would be sweet.
It's no fair to have Sabretooth and to have Wolverine, obviously, and gosh, pretty much all the rest of any iteration of Team X in some of those movies, depending on.
So we're gonna get Phantom X then too.
Oh, Phantom X would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know who would play Maverick and have it be like, I don't know. That would be a really weird one. I also will say there's one other thing here, like along with me calling my shot on thinking that Blake Lively is going to play Lady Deadpool. I interviewed Tyler Mane
right
for Halloween last year. And so at the time, it was during the actors' strike. They were striking in solidarity with the Writers Guild. So I just mentioned, I mentioned the whole X-Men thing and him playing Sabretooth. And I actually have to go back and watch the stream because I can't remember if it was backstage or if it was during the show. I mentioned like, man, there's that new movie, Deadpool movie coming out. That'd be really cool if you were like in it or something. And I just knew since then, basically based on his reaction, I knew he was going to be in this movie. So that was really cool to see him like officially revealed in one part of the trailer or whatever. He posted like the cat's out of the bag now or whatever.
What that I heard Channing Tatum as Gambit.
Well, see, but he was supposed to play Gambit in a movie.
Right.
So,
and they're saying like in a true to the comics costume version of Gambit. So,
but so much of this reminds me of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, where it was everybody under the sun's going to be in that movie as a cameo, and it's going to be, Mephisto and all. There's so many rumors of who was going to be in that movie, and we ended up getting kind of the Illuminati, but a very like low. It was just a few people. Is Deadpool really? Is it really going to go all out and have like 100 cameos in it? It's already going to probably have
just kind of that way. So
yeah,
yes, I agree with Chris. My wild hope is for a Wolverine or a Hulk quick fight. That would be cool.
Black Eyed Peas is filling out Team X would be pretty good. I kind of agree with that. I also kind of hope that I've said this before. I hope Hugh Jackman is not Wolverine going forward in the MCU. I know that's sacrilege. I just think he's a little too long in the saber tooth to keep playing that role, and I'd like to see it go to somebody else. And so I almost kind of want to hope to save any kind of fight like that for the proper MCU reveal of Wolverine. I think it'd be fun to do it similar to how it happened in the comics, but right. I don't know if that's really feasible. Maybe that's just silly.
Well, we'd have to be going with a rampaging Hulk rather than Smart Hulk, so we're gonna have to take some steps backwards. So. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. I know. I saw something. Eric Bana confirmed he's not in Deadpool and Wolverine. By the way,
but how many people confirmed they weren't in Spider-Man? Right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. for anybody who's kind of wondering, none of this is based on insider knowledge. This is all just us spitballing.
We're just, pulling things out of our heinies.
I know there's actually some people who are like, who have had advanced screenings even ahead of the red carpet premiere, apparently, and stuff. I don't know. Not me.
Don't lie.
I think I'm gonna go
see it Sunday for your vacation.
Well, I mean, I think I'm gonna go see it Sunday probably. So I'm hoping that I don't get any spoilers in those first couple of days. I'm
in enough it Saturday, so.
I'm in enough groups that I have a feeling I'll get spoiled no matter what. It's just
we're in that X-Men group, and they've been really good about not spoiling things. So
the problem is I'm in groups with like speculators where they're like so quick to start, oh well, it's so and so, so I gotta like turn off all my notifications and stuff, and it's.
Speaking of speculation, did you get that message I sent to you about Chip, the Green Lantern squirrel?
I don't think I did. Did you have something you wanted to show?
It was in the show notes. So they had during the last days of filming for the Superman movie, they brought a squirrel out in a cage that was an acrylic cage, and he sat there and he was talking to this squirrel character, and so people are conjecturing that this is going to be Chip, the Green Lantern squirrel, and far be it to be him to be the next Rocket Raccoon of the DCU, with our James Gunn of high-ing up the DCU.
Yeah, with Sean Gunn voicing him, no doubt.
Yeah.
Or I mean, maybe they'd have Bradley Cooper.
There you go. Yeah, that would be great.
But there's a movie that's already got too many cameos. Well, I say that I have a lot of faith in James Gunn. I will definitely reserve my judgment, but it seems like that's going to have a little too much going on. I mean, like, I already think this movie, the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, I already feel like it's going to have pretty much every character that we've seen in the Deadpool stuff. So Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and probably Colossus, and probably every character from the Fox movies. I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable to assume at this point. At least all the ones that are willing to return.
Jennifer Garner, Elektra.
I've heard that rumor. I mean, Famke Janssen was pretty much saying she'll be back.
Yeah. I saw a mock-up that got me excited where it was when they had Famke Janssen and the Scarlet Witch going up against each other, and I was like, ooh, that would be sweet.
That would be pretty crazy.
Phoenix versus Scarlet Witch. But I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen.
I mean, like, we know it has to do with the TVA, so they can get away with a lot, but they also can just cram in like a stupid amount of cameos, like in a very short sequence, and not have it take away from much of the movie. Like that.
Oh, yeah, you can just have just pan by a bunch of characters and be like, hi.
Yeah,
Dolph
exactly.
Lundgren Punisher. There we go.
Dolph Lundgren Punisher. Yeah, that'd be cool to see. That I think Superman will be a worthy theatrical movie. I don't think it'll burn up the box office. We'll see. I mean, James Gunn has set a high bar with the Guardians films. And I think Man of Steel did really well. So if the trailer's good, I think it could put some butts in seats.
Okay, let me totally derail, and this isn't even planned, but did you watch the Agatha trailer yet?
I did. Yeah, I watched Agatha all along.
I had a bunch of guys like dogging on it, and I was like, man, that looks really good. I thought it looked good.
I think it looks fun. I have a feeling modern trailer editing is such a weird thing. And
we see everything good in 90 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, and so it's almost like to that point where like if there's cool stuff that's going to be in the show and they didn't show it in that trailer, it kind of makes me wonder about. It's how I feel about a lot of these Marvel shows. It's either give it more time to play out or turn it into a 3-episode limited series, because they either feel, and this is true this is my feeling too on like a lot of the Star Wars TV shows from Disney Plus. They either feel too long and they're stretching too little material over trying to turn it into a full season, or they are not giving things enough time to breathe. Like for a lot of those shows are half an hour long and they should be like an hour long, like an hour long standard, drama, 45 minute format. In my opinion. So this show, like I already feel like I'm going to have pacing problems with it. If it kind of draws out, the main plot thread. And then, I mean, the big thing is going to be like, is Scarlet Witch going to be in it? I mean, the people are already going to be wondering about that. And
the payoff bringing back Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm a little leery about it. I'm going to watch it. Like with anything like this, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping it's a really good show. I want to be entertained. I don't want it to suck.
Some of my buddies were they were very quick to point out the Echo trailers looked really good too. And I was like, yeah, you got a point.
And Echo was actually better than I expected it to be.
It had some really good parts to it.
Yeah.
And the whole was okay. Spoiler if anybody hasn't watched Echo yet, which it's been out for a while now.
It's been out for a while, yeah.
But the ending was very alluding to the Phoenix Force, which a lot of people were like, "Whoa!"
Like, how do you even really do that without having X-Men stuff? That's kind of weird,
right? Well, that's what kind of people were like. That kind of could be a way of starting to tie. Because we've already got Miss Marvel is a mutant, right? So, yeah. And Namor is a mutant. So, I mean, Mojo and Arcade. There we go.
Hey,
I'm excited to see Mojo at some point.
If it means we got Spiral and Longshot, I would be down for that.
Right? Didn't you? You just got a sweet Spiral action figure, didn't you?
Yeah, it's just out of reach over here. Otherwise, I'd grab it.
When we do a next break, you can jump up and grab it.
Which actually we probably should do another one soon, just because we took that other one at such a weird time for our guests. So
for sure.
For those again, if you've just joined in, we are co-streaming over on the EXP. Highly recommend you go sub up over there, as well as to both of our channels if you'd like to check out their content. But since we are streaming over there and we are kind of part of the programming lineup over on the EXP now, we are going to play the ads that they play over on their show. So really cool thing about that is you get to check out some quick trailers for some shows you might want to go check out over there.
Some cool stuff.
Comic books. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of great content over there. I highly recommend it. Not just because I'm there. I mean, I'm very biased, but go check us out over there, as well as some of this other great content. That said, check out the about a 2.5 minute long trailer break here, and we'll be right back after this.
So the show is called The Geek. Chat. And really, there's just a couple of geeks.
I'm Rich.
I'm Dez.
And we are your hosts for this weekly guide into comic bookery and all the geeky stuff that goes with it.
And that pretty much says it all. They talk about the latest movies and shows.
Okay, I'll be completely honest with you. Overall, D+ movie.
So the end. Did you know who that is?
That's She-Ra. Yeah.
Yes.
The new #1 comics of the week.
We rep Samuel Jackson and we rep Mace Windu.
I passed on this. I was like,
no regrets.
no regrets. I really wanted to like this book. I really did. Like, I really did.
And just chat with each other and with you.
Oh, Daniel says, I dosed off with the first one. I have zero interest in the Joker Harley ship, not Harley herself. Enjoy, not for me. Yeah, this movie's going to be rough for me to sit through, I'll be honest.
The Geek Chat, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Just a couple of honest geeks.
Let's be honest. Come on.
And that is why people watch us, because we're honest.
Giving their honest opinions.
And the thing you always have to remember about the internet is everyone has an opinion, and they all suck.
Part of the experience.
What do you call the place on Spider-Man's wrists where the webs come out? His website. I hate myself for writing that joke, but you'd make me feel so much better if you just visited our website. We have links to our merch, new release lists, all the show info, and so much more. TheEXPLive.com.
Hey, welcome back. As Bigby teased, I was able to pull down my awesome spiral figure here.
That is sweet.
Focus there. So,
spoiler alert: Ricochet Rita.
Yeah, but they did an awesome job. Anytime you get a chance to get a 6-armed action figure, I recommend doing it.
They did a really good job on that.
So in one of the ads, I'm just gonna fix my camera here. One of the ads, they mentioned Harley Quinn, which just reminded me. I just saw on X from friend of the channel Elliot Kalin, who came on to talk about his writing for Hades, which he did for Dynamite in a previous stream I did. He's actually the new writer for the Harley Quinn comic series, which is fantastic. And I haven't talked to him about it yet to have a chance to even congratulate him, because I literally saw it like as I was getting ready before to come on the show. But I am going to reach out to him and see if maybe he'd want to come on again to talk about that, because that's awesome. He's a funny dude. If you don't know him, he used to be the head writer on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. He's been involved with Mystery Science Theater 3000 as a writer. He's a really funny guy, so I can't wait to see what he'll do on Harley Quinn. So I'm excited for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, Preston, we appreciate you being here for the first part of the show, and hope you have a great night. I'm glad you'll catch the rest of it later. I understand it's late for those of you on the East Coast, and for Tom in Argentina, for example. So we do appreciate anybody that's able to hang out. For those of you here on the West Coast, hey, you got no excuse. Stay right here. No, maybe you got to work earlier. I don't know. But that's the whole part of the West Coast Comics is we are able to be here late for our West Coasters or our insomniacs that might be out there too. So we probably won't talk about this next news story for too long. But I'm just trying to go back through some of our old notes before there's no reason to talk about it anymore, like in a week or two. Right. One thing we did get was a show update for X-Men 97. And hey, what's up, Comics Limited? We got Trav in the chat from the channel. So say hi to Trav out there. He's another good channel to follow. This is kind of interesting. So Bo DeMaio was let go from X-Men 97. We've talked about it in the past. I'm not going to cover it again necessarily, other than to say like that's what happened. But we found out that Matthew Chauncey is now going to be the new showrunner. it's always been the case that Bo had primarily been the head writer or showrunner for the first 2 seasons, though. So that's the next season is already still written by Bo. Although they did say that they did do some rewrites on some of the episodes, but I mean that it says here season 2 has been revised. That could be minor stuff. It could be major stuff, I suppose, but I have a feeling it's probably pretty minor for the most part. Maybe to help bridge with the new showrunner season 3 or something like that. But it is kind of cool to see that somebody who's already been with the team is going to continue on with the project because it was such an awesome first season. And I know this article, it's been a while since I've read it because it was saved a while ago, but I believe he's working alongside
involved with What If. I mean,
yes.
So that's like, I'm a huge fan of the What If series. So,
and this was the part that I liked is that he's going to be working alongside some of the returning creators that were already involved in X-Men '97, but Jake Castorina and Larry Houston, who's phenomenal, and Eric and Julia Lewald, and basically there's a legacy of people that are already working on the show that are going to continue working on the show with the new showrunner. So I have a lot of faith in it. I can't wait. I can't wait for season 2.
Blown away by season 1. So
yeah,
for sure.
I think a lot of us were. It was fantastic. So
I heard that it's up for a bunch of awards. In fact, the Remember It episode is up for like big award, and then the series itself is up for some major awards as well.
It deserves it. I'm glad to see it get some recognition, at least in the form of nominations. This is probably the other big ground shaking news, depending on what part of the industry you pay attention to. That I wanted to make sure we got a chance to talk about. By the way, if you haven't out there already, do hashtag Bloodshot for your chance to win some free comic books. I know we had some people enter earlier. I've been collecting some entries for that, but I did want to remind people that we are taking entries for a free comic book giveaway. Go ahead and get entered in for that. Yeah. By the way, and thanks to Bigby for donating those trade paperbacks that we're giving away as part of this. And like I said, I'll throw in some raw comic books and some cards and some other stuff too. Stickers, that kind of stuff, all kinds of things. But
some more donations here soon.
Yeah, we're definitely we're gonna be kind of shaking things up. With the new format, we kind of changed course on a couple things, and we're gonna keep making sure that we do continue to improve. Speaking of improvements, maybe
shaking things up at least.
Yeah, definitely a shakeup. Penguin Random House, their publishing group, Random House Publishing, acquired Boom Studios, the comic book publisher. This was pretty interesting. I'll say as part of this, that's almost like tangentially related. Distillery, the newer publisher that's come out making like the magazine size format books, some a lot of other cool books. They moved to Diamond, away from Lunar. So there's kind of this big sea change going on with kind of publishers and their distributors. And interestingly enough, as part of this, if you read through the fine text here, they actually are Boom is actually still going to be distributed through Diamond. Or I'm sorry, maybe it's Lunar. It's been so long since I've read this article now. But they're not going to only be through Penguin Random House, which I thought would be part of this. And I know Penguin Random House just had some antitrust concerns, so it does make me wonder if maybe they're keeping that distribution model open because of that. But that it was kind of an interesting side note here. Maybe it's not this article that mentioned that. I'm kind of scanning to see if I can find it. But yeah, they're not going to exclusively be distributed through Penguin Random House, which I thought was going to happen as part of this. Oh yeah, they'll continue to distribute through Diamond Comic Distributors and Simon and Schuster. So terms of the deal were not disclosed. So anyways, this comes from Deadline. It is kind of another big change up to the publisher distributor dynamic. What do you think about this? Because you've got a background as a comic shop retailer, as ordering through distributors, dealing with publishers.
Back in the day before Diamond was the one-stop shop, it was a real pain in the butt to get certain books because you could only get them from one distributor, and they didn't always have a lot of other things that you wanted to carry from them. So I hope that the industry doesn't go too far that way, where it's you can only get our book from this fine distributor. You know, it makes it really difficult for the shops. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have options, right? Like, I know some people like Penguin Random House because there's like free shipping options. I don't think it's not guaranteed. I can't remember what the conditions are for that. Some people like Lunar because the impression I get is their stuff tends to arrive in better shape through Lunar. Diamond is notorious for having damages historically. Mm-hmm. And Penguin Random House, I don't know if it's ever gotten much better, but a lot of their stuff when it first came out was damaged. I think it's gotten somewhat better, but I know some of it's also because the paper quality changed during the pandemic.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to say that's also when that happened. So, I'm going to add a little scroll down there so people know that they can do.
There you go. There you go.
So it's interesting to me. Like, I'm always a bit fascinated by this, like, distributor acquires a publisher kind of a thing. Like that's like, I don't know. Like, I'm all for a free market and I'm all for capitalism to a certain extent, but it starts to get to like kind of a scary place where I don't like to see too many things under the same roof, you know?
Well, I mean, so I'm gonna speak out of both sides of my mouth here, because like Diamond being a monopoly was pretty scary for a while too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got sued for that, and people were like, well, no, you can get other comics from, but it was like if you wanted to get Marvel or DC or Image, it was like the only place you can get them was from Diamond. So, yeah,
it's like, but can you really? You know, I mean, like,
right? You could get other like, you know, indie books, but boom, I mean, there's some big titles over there.
Yeah, Something Is Killing the Children's a huge property. Berserker. They've got some licenses too. Like I didn't even it makes sense seeing it all listed out, but when you put them all together, Power Rangers, Dune, The Expanse, Garfield, Firefly, Labyrinth, and Dark Crystal. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good house of licensed deals right there.
There, yeah.
Yeah. You know, we were just talking to Nick Berucci last week. Or not last week, the last stream, I should say.
If you guys haven't watched that, go back and watch it. It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Our 15-minute interview turned into an hour-and-a-half interview.
Well, yeah, and we got some of that insight into what it's like to be an IP holder and to have those negotiations, and
right.
That was fascinating. So, I don't know. It's just scary to me, I guess, is really more than anything else. I know there was some, I don't know if it was a tweet or a social media post by oh gosh, I forgot the head of Boom Studios name. Oh, forgot his name. But there was some post from him where he's just out there like, yeah, I'm gonna go have some drinks on the beach now. Peace, basically. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
I'm done.
That's basically
I'm
what
out.
he said, though.
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
Is it Ross Ritchie? That sounds familiar. I'm so bad with names. I thought it would be in this article. Come on, Deadline. Yeah, Ross Ritchie. There it is. Jay coming in with a save. No T is the only thing I'll give you a note on there, Jay. But hey, you know, that's tough.
Hey, he was miles ahead of both you and I.
He was firing from the hip. So it's just a weird thing. Like, hopefully it's better. Like maybe this helps. I'd love a Something Is Killing the Children show done really well on a nice network. Like a HBO or maybe Netflix or something like that. I'd prefer it to be somewhere where it can be nice and bloody and violent and everything. Yeah, I'd love something like that. So hopefully it helps those comic creators over at Boom do better. Hopefully that's true. I'm nervous. I think that's all I can really say about it.
Right. Put it over on Prime with the boys and everything else.
Yeah. Speaking of no spoilers or whatever, I just finished this most recent season of The Boys, and boy, that finale was crazy. I have no spoilers, but that's
yeah. Mm-hmm. It was good. I thoroughly enjoyed this last season. I know a lot of people aren't really enjoying it, but yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it had its moments. The last couple seasons of The Boys it hasn't felt as fresh for me, I guess, as the first couple seasons did. But I mean,
this one felt like they were kind of bringing everything together. It was all
it felt more cohesive.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, so we're talking about DC's new Ultimates line. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, I didn't have time for a pithy segue, so I just threw it up here as we are kind of nearing, probably somewhat near the end of the show. You know what? I feel dumb for saying this, but I have almost no opinion on this, and it feels like I should have some strong, like, oh, this is awesome or this is so exciting, but
I thought it sounded interesting, the idea that they're going to strip away some of the things that make the characters and see how they evolve.
Yeah.
So like Bruce Wayne does not have his money. Wonder Woman doesn't have her Amazon sisterhood.
Yes.
Peace. Superman doesn't have the Fortress of Solitude.
Or a family, apparently, which is kind of interesting. So that's the part that, I mean, it does seem like there's potential here. I guess where I get the hang up on this is it's a little bit like a cool new movie you hear about, and then you see the trailer. Until you see the trailer, you have something to judge it off of. I just kind of want it to be good. That's all I can really.
Right.
And there's no.
Please make it good.
Yeah, if it's good, great. If it's not, who cares? And I know. Right. Yeah, that's a really reductionist way to look at it, probably, and a really cynical way to look at it. But it's kind of how I feel.
So I was discussing with Comics Limited Trav the other night, and I said DC already did this. It was called All Star.
Yeah,
and it was interesting, cool, but they only let it run for a short period and they canned it. So we'll see.
I mean, by the same token, Marvel already did Unlimited or Ultimate, and they're back again with a new Ultimate, right? So,
right, but they saw it through. I mean, they saw
the
Ultimates through to the destruction of the Ultimate Universe.
For better or worse, yeah.
All-Star Superman and All-Star Batman, it was just kind of like, all right, here's the story, and now we're done.
So Shigeyuki asks, is this like an Elseworlds thing? Like, not in the strictest sense, I don't think.
It's more of a multiversal thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like a different, another Earth number, whatever.
Right, and that's the other thing. As a mostly Marvel person, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like a person who's like, I'm only going to read Marvel. Like, I make jokes about it or whatever, but I love me some Batman. I love Superman, Supergirl, Green Lantern. Like, I love a lot of the good storylines. And I'm the kind of person who dives into a trade paperback or a collected edition of, like, the Green Lantern Rebirth or whatever. Like, I dove into that right after it all came out. Loved it. It was great. But the greater lore of the DC universe is often confusing to me when it comes to the multiple Earths and the different crises. and how they all relate to each other and where it's kind of currently at. So I'm probably a bad person to answer that question in terms of where they're at with which Earth number this could be or whatever. But that's the impression I get, is it is a different Earth and not a Elseworlds thing. Which, by the way, I loved Elseworlds.
Elseworlds was amazing.
Yeah,
I enjoyed them thoroughly.
Yeah. So they're kind of doing the Trinity to launch this. I guess the question I had for you is, you got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, obviously. Is there a series or a character that you'd like to see added to this, I guess, imprint or whatever you want to call it, this subline?
I mean, it could be really interesting to see like a different take on the Titans and, that whole thing. They could really branch off of it and it could be interesting. I think we saw a picture of a green arrow in the artwork there, right? So is he possibly?
Yes. I'll put that back up.
Yeah. Yeah, there he is.
Hang on, I'm answering a text from my wife real fast.
How dare you? She asking you for ice cream again?
Not ice cream this time. She's asking if I was knocking, so I think our neighbors are doing something weird. For me, my first instinct is to say Flash. It might be fun to see
Flash, definitely, yeah.
Deconstructed Flash. They kind of just sort of revamped her character, but I guess what I think of as characters that are kind of weighted down by their history, and one of those characters that jumps to mind for me is Power Girl. So it might be fun to see, but by introducing her, you kind of introduce some baggage. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
There's a lot of sandbox to play in there that could be really fun, for sure. I mean, I haven't read enough of the new Ultimate stuff, but Travis tells me that it's amazing. I mean, he fills me in on all the pitch meeting, the elevator pitch meetings of what's going on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds really good.
I just started reading Ultimate Spider-Man now that it's on Marvel Unlimited. Mm-hmm. So it seems.
Did it grab you? Trav said like it grabbed him, or issue one, it like really grabbed him.
That's the thing, is it didn't actually grab me as much. Like, to me, it was just like, okay, like this seems like it's an interesting take. And that, I mean that in no way to disparage anybody who did have it grab them. I think that's great. Spider-Man's never been my favorite character as part of it. I think I enjoyed the original Ultimate Spider-Man more. Well, Spider-Man's one of those characters where I always enjoyed him more in like the team ups and like the appearing in other books, because to me, this is a really controversial thing to say, actually. To me, Spider-Man is like deadlocked in that, either just ending high school or just out of high school time period. Like that's Spider-Man to me. Right. And the greater lore of Spider-Man, like, his history with his, Mary Jane and everything like that, and all the different things they've gone through, it isn't as interesting to me as far as the greater sense goes. So I do kind of like the back to square one kind of thing, but I also feel like I've done that before with Spider-Man so many times. At least there's a twist on this one. Right. It is different.
The twist is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Like, things have been changed from how they're supposed to be. So.
Yes, and that is interesting. I'm going to keep reading it. I think I've read the first 2 issues is all I've read, so it's not like I'm very far along with it. But
I mean, I loved Marvel's original Ultimate line. Ultimates just like grabbed me by the throat, and I was like, Millar, I could do no wrong with that. I was just like, oh my God, it's just amazing. So
yeah, it was a very, very, very good. I don't even like a reboot or a
I mean,
a very good idea.
a lot of the Avengers movies were based off of sequences in Ultimates. So
absolutely. Yeah, and look, I've said for a while, I would love Marvel to do, because I'm a Marvel guy. You could say the same thing about DC, I'm sure. I would love for them to do something like that and take it back to like the Bronze Age. Like do a story set more of in that type of storytelling, that type of, you know, just kind of almost make it like a what they've done with like X-Men 97, or you kind of just go back and say, we're not really saying that none of this ever happened. We're not really saying that it's going to happen completely differently, but here's just kind of more stories in that time period.
Right.
X-Men Legends is what I'm thinking of, where they kind of went back and told stories that were more interstitial stories.
The Hidden Years, X-Men, the Hidden Years, and X-Men Legends. Yeah.
Or I guess you could kind of go the other way and kind of give it its own canon and its own, you know, timeline or whatever.
That was John Byrne, right? X-Men, the Hidden Years. But that was he had a great idea. Like there were so many years where X-Men was only printed in reprints. So he's like, what happened during this time period?
Yeah.
We've got a ton of different stories that could happen in this time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Bronze and Modern Gods, they keep begging. They're like, Marvel, just go back and just make us more stories that take place in the 80s. You know?
Yeah, and I'm really careful when I say that, because I've been saying that for years. I'm really careful to also sprinkle in that it's not that I don't want the modern current stories. I just think, like, if you're going to do something like Ultimate Spider-Man, you know, Ultimate lines, why not do one like that too, where it's not so much a new thing, it's more of a
retro
going back. Because look, there's a lot of fans that want to relive the nostalgia of that time period currently.
Let's bring Jim Shooter back and he can hit it up.
Man, that would be awesome.
That would be freaking awesome.
Speaking of legends, I can't. This is a perfect segue.
Okay.
To talk about something that this was a Chris from Comic Trips. I think he probably is gone. I haven't seen him in the chat for a while, but this is something he shared on his X feed that I really enjoyed reading. This is The Secret Life of Steve Ditko, Spider-Man co-creators family opens up. I won't go through and read this whole. It's a very long article. It's a very good read. It's sobering in some ways. For me, it was just a very almost like melancholy, somber kind of read. Basically, this is his family going back and telling Steve's side of the story in a way. Not, I want to say side of the story, but the stuff that you never really got to hear before. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating. You know, journalists called him the J.D. Salinger of comics and portrayed him as an Ayn Rand obsessed recluse. Neil Gaiman referred to him as impossibly uptight, etc. Those kind of sentiments are fascinating. But getting his side of the story, the way he viewed things, it's very interesting. And it was one of the coolest, like, biographical comic book creator pieces that I've seen in a long time. It does get into his relationship with Stan, which I know a lot of people are curious about, his relationship with Marvel, which I know a lot of people are curious about. But also just kind of like the other side of like what hasn't been shown or talked about. You know, oh gosh, who was it that I was watching? There was an interview recently where I can't remember who it was they were saying that it was Alan Moore. It was Alan Moore talking about Rorschach. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Ditko was a lot of the inspiration for Rorschach from Watchmen, basically. And that's knowing that, you know, going through reading this article, I think you'll kind of gain maybe a new insight into one of the legends of comic books. I mean, it's just a fascinating person, a fascinating story, a little tragic in some ways. But yeah. I highly recommend it. Yeah, good night, man. Thanks for being here. Good luck on the giveaway. I saw you enter earlier. That'd be sweet. It would save on shipping. Hashtag
rigged.
Yes. So yeah, that's kind of the last story I had that I really feel like we need to tackle this week. Did you have anything you wanted to bring up, or
so I mean, okay, again, I'm rattling your cage without even having any pre-planning. Did we ever get any more info on the Neil Gaiman thing?
So no, and I avoided it because I haven't seen any updates for it. Is the primary reason. So
if you guys want to find out about that, there's allegations out there, but that's we saw that and we were like, this might be something we need to talk about. So
yeah, the last thing I saw were when the allegations first kind of, as far as I'm aware, came out. And I haven't seen an update to the articles. I'll show you guys real fast. Again, not something I'm prepared to deep dive into, but I'll just show you.
I just threw it at you, but
this is from CBR. So the important point I want to point out is that he denies the allegations. His denials for the allegations were some of the quotes I saw from him. Also seemed a little problematic, maybe. But again, I'm not prepared to talk about this. Doesn't mean I won't talk about it or we won't discuss it more. I want to see if there is more to this. I felt like there should be more by now, but it might be something where maybe we'll have to wait till court proceedings start up.
I hope that doesn't affect negatively the Sandman TV show or the Dead Boy Detectives, because those were both, I enjoyed both of those a lot.
I need to check out Dead Boy Detectives. Sandman season 1 was great. I know it's getting ready to come back soon, I believe, for season 2, or I know they've announced some casting and had some promo images come out at least.
Dead Boy Detectives is fun. It's like, it's quirky. It's definitely different yet similar to Sandman.
Yeah.
So,
this is one of those things where, like, speaking straight from the heart, it's complicated because I don't want it to be true, but that doesn't mean that it might not be true. Like that's the problem for me.
Right, I was just curious if we had seen any more information. I
probably not that I've seen,
and asked you in private. So
well, it's okay. It's something that's certainly something we would cover. If especially if more comes out. It's just tough because like, I'll just be honest, like I have a personal bias that I really realize, unlike many of these stories when they kind of come out, this was one where I was like, I really hope it's not true.
Right.
Now, again, I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm not saying that, if he did the things that he's accused of, by the way he's accused of them, that's obviously terrible. And I would definitely acknowledge that. It's just that was my gut reaction because he's a literary hero of mine, in a way that few are. But
I can't say that I've ever read anything by him, be it in a novel or in a comic book or a graphic novel, that I didn't like. So
I'll extend that and say even his interactions with people on social media, like he's pretty active on social media as far as replying to like aspiring authors.
What was the thing I saw? It was like some kid who was like, his teacher wouldn't accept his presentation unless he had permission from the author or something. And he just is like, my teacher won't let me basically turn in my homework unless I have permission from the author. And Neil Gaiman was like, you have my permission. it was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm kind of like speechless about it. I guess the only other thing I could say is this would be like if Stephen King had these kind of accusations against him, it would be kind of similar to me. Like that, he's kind of up there for me with Stephen King, and again a couple others. But real fast, there's at the bottom of your screen you'll see hashtag Bloodshot. You type that into chat, and in about a minute or so, I'm going to pull a drawing for that. Give you a chance to win some awesome trade paperbacks donated by Bigby and some extra stuff that I'm going to throw in to make your package wonderful.
We dropped the ball on this week was the artwork.
The community art. I was just going to mention that. So what I was going to mention with that is we do feature community artists because of the format change, because we were coming back from break, because we didn't have a chance to really connect, because I know Bigby was working on setting up a lot of things. Like if you'll notice, he hasn't dropped out of the conversation 10 times, he's coming in clearer and all those kinds of things. Right. So he's been focused on that.
That and working 70-hour work weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And then I've been focused on some of my own stuff. So, but one thing we want you to know about is we do feature community art. So all you have to do, it's really easy. Bigby and I are both on Instagram. That's, I think, a great place to feature your community art. You can message us there. You can message us anywhere. Bigby's the better person to collect it because he kind of curates all that stuff. But if you send it to me, I'll just forward it to him basically. And then we'll kind of get it all curated up and we'll feature that on the show. We'll show it off as long as it's appropriate to be shown on the air. We'll show it off. Some
that are really nice, but they're just a little risque.
Yeah, and I mean, we can censor some of those things, I guess. But for the most part, try to keep it relative, comic book cover safe for the most part. I know that's not saying much because there's some comic book covers.
Booty cover of the week safe.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, that would be fine. In fact, I would be honored if people submitted their booty entries. Illustrated.
You're gonna get the She-Ra experience from the show
from SummerCon. But
AJ gives a glowing review for Dead Boy Detectives. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. It was kind of funny watching Doom Patrol, because they did their own kind of take on Dead Boy Detectives. Within that show, they made a cameo appearance, but it's a different version of the Dead Boy Detectives. I
haven't watched all of the Doom Patrol. I had HBO for a short period of time and started diving into a lot of those shows, and then my access was revoked.
Oh, one actor. Okay, I didn't realize. Because I haven't watched the show yet. But that is interesting that they did retain one actress. Interesting.
We do get death from the Sandman TV show.
Oh, okay. Well, because those shows it is literally a spinoff of the Sandman show, right? Like it's
Dead Boy
the same universe.
Appeared in the Sandman.
Yeah.
Comic. So,
right.
Yeah. So and then
it's just it's funny because there's two cinematic versions of the Dead Boy Detectives, but then Dead Boy Detectives obviously is associated with Sandman. It's just it's just funky how it's worked out, I guess.
Right. Right.
DC in that weird space. All right. Well, I'm going to draw the drawing here. Let me share the screen. But yeah, so what I was going with that is definitely put in your community artwork to us.
Oh, please.
We'd love to feature it. We are going to do a thing at the end of the year too, where we pick some of our favorite community art. Maybe we'll have you guys vote on it, and we'll send out a little prize package to the winner.
Some doodlings.
Yeah, and we'll feature some of that on our social media too. But first, we need the artwork. So all you artists out there, amateur, professional.
We had one of them on here tonight. Roscoe was on. He's put some stuff in. But
for sure,
yeah, any level, whether you're just beginning or starting out, and we'd love to see it. I love to see every level of where people are at in their process of learning an art or growing as an artist or becoming more proficient.
For sure.
So.
And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're watching, you're part of our community, so that works.
Yeah.
Watch Jim Lee starts watching, and he wins every week now. Darn, Jim Lee watches our show. I don't know.
Darn it. God, I gotta say, Bruns, I've missed talking to you and hanging out. I mean, I'm let's go for another 2 hours.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a topic we'll probably still get to on next week's show. Is the Jim Lee commission thing?
Yeah, I'm going to be at that show.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay, so I'm going to draw this now because I haven't seen any new entries come through. So,
good luck, everybody.
Yeah, good luck to our entrants, and we'll see if the winner's still in chat. Oh, you're too kind, Jay. Bigby is a very, very good artist, by the way. Shadow Rat might still be around. I'll give him a minute to pipe up if he's here. He could be lurking in the shadows. Congratulations, Shadow Rat.
I do like your artwork quite a bit, Bronze. But yeah, please check out my art on.
Sorry, I meant to remove the.
Or don't check out my art. If Bronze like, yeah, no, don't check out his art.
That was terrible timing on my part. I'm so sorry. No, please go check out Bigby's IG feed. Is probably the best place to see his artwork. I've got an awesome Phoenix piece framed up upstairs of his that he did.
Booty cover.
It is a booty cover. For me, I don't really think of it as, like, we call it that, but like it's really more of like it's just the detail on the Phoenix flame in the background is so cool to me that's what I focus on when I look at that picture.
Travis calls it frenetic. It's your frenetic style.
That's a very good way to put it.
I do have some live drawing videos on my YouTube as well, where you can watch me start to parts and pieces of drawing pieces. So and finishing them up.
Jay, you're so right. He almost see. At least it wasn't his internet connection or his phone or something like that this time.
It wasn't that. Yeah, not this time. I actually have spent a bunch of time when it was 100-degree weather. Travis from Comics Limited, God bless him, outside with me running Cat 5 cable all over the place, trying to get everything wired up and extending things, and I got a nice, awesome connection. So
yeah, and I kicked down some old supplies that have kind of enabled you to not have to stream with your phone, and I know you got a new computer, so
there were some frustrations, but growing pains, right?
Yeah, we're always aiming to improve. Shadow Rat is here though, so you get to choose. We have the from the House of Ideas, the Incredible Hulk, Beauty and the Behemoth Hulk trade, which is nice.
The relationship between the Hulk and Bruce Banner and Betty throughout the ages.
Yeah,
it even has some McFarlane stuff in it.
And then this is the Dogs of War trade. Which I probably should thumb through this one to see what this covers. It's Collecting the Incredible Hulk Volume 2, 12 through 20. So you got 2 Hulk books. You can choose that as price package 1. Price package 2, the real star of the show there to me is probably, and I think to you as well, this Batman Grendel.
Such a beautiful book. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I can't say enough good things about Matt Wagner. I'm kicking myself for not picking up those Grendel books when we were up in at SummerCon from Dave.
Yeah,
he had 1, 2, and 3 in really nice shape.
Yeah, I've got a number 2, and then you got a Nightwing Huntress as well. And I probably should grab more. I had a short box literally of comics though at that point, and I was just I wasn't gonna grab any more. You want the Nightwing and Batman Grendel?
Good choice.
Good choice. So that'll be your prize pack.
Couldn't go wrong with either one of those prize packs, but yeah.
And then Shadow Rat, who is your favorite comic book character? Can you tell me that real fast? That'll help me fill out the rest of your package. So before we wrap up the show for realsies, let me just say it's cool to be in this new path forward. We are doing this weekly, which is awesome. Less confusing than saying be back here in 2 weeks.
Right-ish.
Yeah. It may not have seemed like it this week, but we're definitely going to have more time because I'm not doing 2 shows alternating. I'm actually just going to do this one show. We'll have more time to prepare some segments, and I know we're going to have some more great guests on.
Interesting pick for character.
That is an interesting pick.
There we go.
Might be able to dredge up some stuff, and then let me know a couple other characters you like, because I like to include stuff that is relevant to what people like. I don't have a whole lot of Howard the Duck stuff, to be honest with you. I have like a couple things here and there, but yeah, just let me know a couple others. You can always message me later too. So,
obviously he likes Batman and Grendel.
There you go. That's what I'd fall back to if he wasn't here, right. For sure. But, but yeah, we're on this new path forward, which I really am excited for. You mentioned West Coast Avengers, Dave Avengers. We talked to him about possibly coming on at some point. Somebody we need to reach out to. That's a good collection of characters. I like your style.
There we go. Yeah. No, we've Trav from Comics Unlimited said he would love to come on and be a guest at some point. So
we know a lot of great people in this community. We are going to start ramping up some stuff too for Heroes for Heroes, the charity I do every November for Veterans Day. Now Bigby is offering to help out with a lot of that too, so that's really awesome. And we're gonna.
I did get a commitment from Trav also for what you requested from him.
Fantastic, yeah. So we're kind of building a coalition to help out with that, which is really important. I just got the new logo in earlier today from RPL Grime, who's the person who made the logo for 2024. So there's all kinds of stuff happening. I'm going to start reaching out to some of the artists that participated and seeing if they can donate some stuff. And then I have a whole bunch of contacts from SummerCon that I'm going to reach out to. And
oh my goodness, Starlin's friend, Jamie was so passionate about mental health and wanting to come on and do a whole discussion with us about that. So that's going to be
So there's going to be a lot of stuff ramping up. It's been a quiet few months on my channel, at least. It's going to be changing.
A lot of things going on behind the scenes. We're building the framework.
Yeah, so it's going to be awesome. But yeah, the short of it is, thanks for being here tonight. Come on back next week at 8 p.m. Pacific. 11 Eastern, unless details change, in which case keep your eyes peeled. We'll post up any changes that might happen.
And we are possibly going to be doing some claim sale-y things and whatnot too.
Yeah, not on whatnot necessarily, but man,
not on whatnot, but
I know. But yeah, we did do a
poor choice of words. Sorry,
no, I'm just playing with you. But we, part of the work that Bigby was doing over there is there might be some stuff going on where we're able to stream from the same location and do a claim sale, especially would be much more convenient that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of great stuff is coming. Hopefully you stick around. I do want to remind you to go ahead and subscribe over on the EXP, subscribe over on Bigby's channel. You can subscribe over on my channel as well if you want to. We'll be back with more comic book news and all kinds of fun stuff next week. You got anything you want to plug for this week coming up, or anything you want to talk about, Bigby?
No, just stay tuned to both of our channels. Check us out on Instagram. Bronze and I are really good about promoting each other's stuff. So trying to be growing our little community and group of people that are following us. So stay in the loop.
Yeah. No, sounds good. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and entering this new chapter. What we're going to be doing over here. Hopefully, we just keep building and building as time goes on. And we're going to play a little outro clip here, and then we will be out. So everybody have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next Monday here on Best Coast Comics.
In a world where you hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, that'd be really great. Thanks.
Imagine being at a convention.